Hey guys, what is up? Unrested back again, and today I am covering a story about the woman you see here before you, who is Helena Taylor, and the character you see on the other side of the screen, Bayonetta, in the game Bayonetta 3. If you don't already know, this is a game that's pretty much like an action platformer shooter jumper. It's got kind of a wild fantasy story. I've played a little bit of part one. I never really got into part two. Just really wasn't my thing because it's a little bit too linear for me. Amazing looking game, very cool action. I can totally understand why people love this game. Helena Taylor, the woman you see in this picture here, was offered the role for the third time in part three of this game. She did the voice for part one and part two, and she was supposed to return for part three. But just recently, she came out and made 4 separate videos talking about why she not only denied ever wanting to do the part, and also why she thinks she's being cheated by the creator of this game, and why you, the consumer, should boycott it. Okay? So let's put together exactly what she has as far as what she thinks is a good reason for her to deny this game. Now, just know that later new evidence has popped up that changes a lot of what she said at the beginning. But in the beginning, she said she was only offered $4,000 to do this game, and that what she requested was a livable wage. In fact, she wrote to the producer-director Hideki Kamiya himself saying that this just wasn't reasonable because the game itself had sold $500 million in sales, which it actually hasn't. If you go look up how much it actually sold, that's not the amount it sold. And it's not much for her to ask for simply a livable wage off of her time. Now, at first, she didn't say how long she had worked on the games before and how many hours it took to record her voices. So people started to ask, what exactly, what are we talking about? $4,000 for how much time? How many sessions? Like what? So, I mean, she thought that was reasonable, and she responded, okay, it's 4 days for 4 hours each day in a total of $4,000. So if you compare that to what the average Japanese anime or video game actor makes, usually they do 4 hours and earn about Kyuman Nihakuen, which is a little bit under $900 for a 4-hour day. So she was making about $98 more per hour, and she says because this game is such a top seller, she should definitely be earning more, if not at least a livable wage. And 4,000 was ridiculous. It was an insult to her quality of voice acting. Mind you, she's only had one accolade to her name, that is Bayonetta. That's the only voice acting she's done in video games. But she thought, I guess, she was like on the Kiefer Sutherland, Metal Gear Solid level of voice acting and wanted to make more than 4,000. Okay. Well, later we found out after Jason Schreiber, who is like a video game investigator, very balanced in his views and his research, always vets everything he does, really checks things out and researches them thoroughly, talked to 2 insiders at the company who remained anonymous, but did give him receipts on the details of what she was actually offered. It turns out she was actually offered $15,000. Okay? Triple, more than triple what the average Japanese voice actor is offered. And she turned that down and came back to the company. And that letter that she did write, because she really did write a letter to Hideki Kamiya, requested a 6-figure salary and royalties off the game. Now, you may think, well, maybe she's really talented. Like, maybe that's really what she deserves. A lot of people did say, well, I mean, I think she should have been paid more than $4,000. Well, actually, she was offered more than $4,000. She was offered $15,000. 6 figures? Well, let me put this a little bit more into perspective. Nobody making the graphics, the sound, the engineering, the animations, the level design, none of them are making 6 figures. None of them are getting royalties from the game. And they're working many, 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 many more hours than Miss Helena Taylor. They're probably working hours that you would consider inhumane in your own country, because that's how Japanese people work. They work literally to death. None of them are getting that. On top of it, she was asking that the game be boycotted because she wasn't offered what she requested, which means those people also wouldn't get their bonuses for Christmas or summertime. because they didn't meet sales figures. So she's also requesting not only do you hurt the game sales, but you hurt the other people who worked on the game, who have nothing to do with how she's paid. On top of it, she's completely lied about the amount she was offered, and kind of forgot to tell us that she had requested 6 figures in royalties. And when finally questioned and confronted about this by Jason Schreiber, who went to her and said, look, Bloomberg went there, they got the receipts, we've got everything vetted that you were offered this, what do you have to say about this, because this is totally different from what your statement of 4,000 was. No response. She says, oh, I just want to put this behind me. Now, what you're probably wondering, like, where did she get the idea of 4,000 from? Well, what it was they said, okay, look, 6 figures in royalties, you're kind of being ridiculous. I tell you what, we'll look for another voice actor. You don't have to do this one. But what we'd like to offer you is a cameo, like maybe like in Devil May Cry, where an old school character comes back and they use his voice to talk to the new character. You could do something like that. No. They offered her that, and that's when they offered her 4,000 because it was a much smaller, fewer day role. $4,000 for that role, for the cameo, for just coming back for like an hour or two in the studio and saying, hey, it's me, the old Bayonetta from part 1 and 2. Hi, everybody. Here's 4K. All right. She turned that down too. She was like, no, I'm not going to do a cameo for 4,000. And also, she called out Jennifer Hale for taking on the role. She said, I don't believe any other voice actor should have this role. I'm the one who created that character, which she didn't. She is the voice actor. And guess what? She's not the voice actor used for every version of the game. There's literally language-based voice actors, so you didn't hear any of them coming out. The Japanese voice actor didn't come out and be like, oh, also, why wasn't I paid 6 figures, you know? They just did their part and got paid and moving on to their next job. She decided to lash out at the new person taking it on and saying that she was pretty much trying to steal that character, and that not only that, she was disrespecting other peers within her work line by taking on the job, which is completely ridiculous. If I was offered a teaching job and the price was too low and I turned it down and my friend took it, I don't know why I would be angry at my friend for getting that bag. That doesn't make any sense. You know, do what you got to do. Jennifer Hale's response, number one, she hadn't heard about the big controversy that Helena Taylor was stirring up behind this game. And she said she was able to fit it in between other gigs she had, and so was fine with taking it. And that she would like to see all people paid respectfully within the industry, which is a great way to go about it. You know, respect everybody who makes the game, and also don't claim that you created the character, and also don't claim that the whole game revolves around you, and don't expect a price that revolves around you having a livable wage. Because guess what? There's probably other people working on the game part-time who aren't earning a livable wage, okay? There are voice actors in anime and video games who probably are underpaid. But there's none so silly as to come into a studio and say, for 4 days of 4 hours, I want 6 figures and royalties forever. There's nobody who's going to come into the studio and ask for that, okay? I've done some voice work. I've done localization for some video games before, and I've done voice work for the Crown English ESL book and recorded for a CD for that. I wasn't paid anywhere near 4,000, although I was only in the studio for about 3 hours for 2 days. And I was fine with that. It was easy. It's not really that hard. You read what's in front of you. That's the script. You're done. You get paid. Cool. Cash in hand. 4,000 would have been great. If I had been offered that amount of time and hours, I probably would have gotten that. But I was just doing it as like a side hobby, a side hustle to make a little extra on the side. If this is her job, why does she only have accolades for one game? Like, she only has one game put to her name on IMDb, Bayonetta 1 and 2, that's it. If she had like a long-term industry standard where everybody was constantly, oh my God, I don't know if I'll be able to fit Bayonetta into my busy video game voice acting schedule, maybe I could understand her being like, I'll just ask for a price that's like unreasonable, and if they meet it, I'll definitely make time for it. No, they offered her a very reasonable amount of $15,000, triple what is even offered being in the actors union, which only needs to be about $1,000 per 4 hours. They offered her triple that. She turned it down and came back with an insane amount of money, asking for more than anybody who did anything in the game. Maybe the only other person paid at six figures would be Hideki himself. So I had to look into this because I thought, like, this is crazy. Like, first of all, Hideki responded on Twitter and said, this is sad to see somebody lying about what my company did. I can't release details because I'm not going to break NDA like Helena Taylor did. But this is not the true story. And that's why Jason Schreiber looked into it. And sure enough, he did find out she was offered a ton more and then came back with a ton more as far as an unreasonable amount wanted from the company. That's great that the game sold that much. But asking for more than what the average person who's working on some of the hardest aspects of the game is making, and for royalties on top of it, something I don't think any of the people who've recorded have gotten. Do you think Keith Sutherland gets royalties for Metal Gear Solid? He doesn't. I looked it up. I thought, whoa, is that common? So I researched it a little bit. No, he doesn't get that. But she should? Now, I saw some people responding to things like, well, the cost of living in the UK is much higher than Japan. Okay, so do voice work only in the UK then. The yen is super weak right now. So is the pound. But I don't know why you think they should change how much they pay in their own country to hire you from another country. I don't know why you think they should change their industry standard for what you consider your own personal standard, because that's not like the standard amongst the industry in any country, asking for six figures in royalties as a voice actor. That doesn't happen in Hollywood. That doesn't happen in the UK. That's just something she made up. And she's pushing it on them. And when she didn't get it, she made 4 videos saying, number one, she was only paid $4,000 when it was a lie. She was offered $15,000. Number 2, she completely neglected to mention that she asked for 6 figures in royalties. And number 3, boycotting the game. She told everyone, you need to boycott this game. Don't buy it. Why? So the other people who worked on it have to suffer too? Just because you didn't want the pay? Because you couldn't agree to the terms? That's fine. If you want to do that, make your statement by not working the job. But why hurt other people's jobs? Why disrespect other people's work on the game that they spent years working on? I mean, it's an industry that's worked on this game for how many years? Like 10 years now? And the last part of their opus should just be like denied because you didn't get paid enough. How selfish are you? Like, that's crazy to me. Some voice actors did speak up. They said, yeah, I think we should get paid a little bit more. But I also think we should kind of think about other people in the industry, kind of hinting at I know what you're getting at, Helena, but, you're not the only person working on the game. There's people who do the graphics, the game design, the animations, everything I mentioned before. I think that's a little bit smarter to go about it. Jennifer Hale, who did the voice, said, I can't really talk about how much I made or anything like that, because guess what? Jennifer Hale doesn't break NDA and try to call out the director of a game or try to get herself blacklisted in Japan. She said, but I also agree that maybe we should get paid more as voice actors, but we also need to respect the other jobs that we have to work with, like the sound booth guy, like the recorder, the voice actors that are in different languages, the people who produce the sounds that go along with those voices, all types of stuff. So, and also she said, I just didn't even know she had been the first person to take this job and then turn it down. So I'm not, taking the job to slight her. I'm just taking the job because I could fit it in my schedule. So now that she's been called out, now that Jason Schreiber has gone back to her and been like, well, look, they say you asked for 6 figures. They say you asked for royalties. Is that true? Her response, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Of course, she's the one who brought it up. She's the one who tried to call out the company. The company wasn't like, oh, sorry, she couldn't work with us. They were actually really nice, and they just made up an excuse for her. They said, due to scheduling problems, she couldn't do the voice. They tried to help her save face. They didn't try to come out there and be like, we will not be working with her because she asked for 6 figures in royalties like a total greedy bitch. Okay? Instead, they said, we just couldn't schedule it at the same time. Because that's how Japanese companies work. They're going to help you save face. Not her. She came out, broke NDA, broke whatever contract she had with them, tried to spill the beans and lie and distort the figures that she was offered by saying she was only offered $4,000. She says now she just wants to move on and not talk about Bayonetta anymore. Well, guess what? You won't have to. You won't have to talk about any game made in Japan anymore, because I am quite sure no company will ever want to work with you again after this attitude. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's greedy. It's self-centered. Yeah, I would like 6 figures too for the voice acting I've done in the past. That sounds amazing, but that's not the market. Okay, that's insane to ask. You're not a real actor. You don't get out there and like, you're not even mocapped for that. You're not even, you're just the voice actor. You didn't create the character either. The people who did the artwork, the design, the movement, the animation, the backgrounds, they're the world and character creators. You lent a voice that was easily replaced by another great voice actor, and someone who also has a lot more credit than you. Hence, she took the job, because probably when she saw 15K head her way, she thought, oh, damn, triple what the average person makes. I'll take that. That's probably why Jennifer Hale took it. That wasn't good enough for you, so you snubbed it and turned your nose up at it and walked away. And now you will never, ever be offered another job in Japan again. You will never see Helena Taylor ever offered another job from a Japanese company again. Because when you do something like this, they just think, okay, this is one of these really unreasonable foreigners who demands whatever they got in their own country to be done here in Japan, and we just can't afford that, or we can't accommodate that. Or maybe if that is true, or maybe she's made those demands up herself, we're not even going to worry about trying to reason with her, because she's already hit us with a letter that was most likely angry and infuriated that she wasn't getting the amount that she wanted. Well, great job. It makes both you and your peers and gaijin like me who live here in Japan look really unreasonable. I hope you're happy with what you've done and how you've ruined your complete voice acting career. I would be surprised if you even get voice acting in a Western game at this point. I'm pretty sure your career's over. Hence you said, like, oh, I want to return to the stage and do play acting. Yeah, I mean, if I worked in that business too, I would definitely stay a million miles away, due to the fact that I guess you think your shit's worth way more than anybody else in whatever industry you're working in. I mean, you were still just a novice. 2 games under your belt? And you think now you suddenly deserve 6 figures? Do your time and earn your credit. But don't expect people to meet your demands that you create yourself, especially when Japan has like a sort of law in the workplace where there's like a harmony and you can discuss stuff like a higher pay, but you need to do it civilly and in a way that is very polite and treats everyone at the job as equals. When you decide, I don't need to treat everyone as equals, I need to be paid the most because I'm the voice actor, you're just not even working with the Japanese wa of the workplace. And I saw some people wrote, they said, she's used to only working in the UK and she's going to record at a UK studio. So, I mean, she should really follow through with the way the UK works with recording. Really? So, even though she's dealing with another culture, she should just completely pass that over and just try to deal with it as though it were her own culture. That's okay? All right, cool. Yeah, I can see why she's probably not going to get any more jobs here in Japan. Anyway, guys, this made me angry enough that I had to speak about it. It's just so needlessly selfish and disrespectful to the industry in general, and just really shows her character how much she hid, because it was sketchy at the beginning. I saw a few things, like I said, Hideki Kamiya came out and said, like, I can't believe she's lied about this. This is really in bad faith. I was really surprised. Usually if a Japanese company does do something to snub somebody or screw somebody over, they just don't talk about it. Like, do you remember that one guy who got all his One Piece videos taken down by the anime company? When they were asked for a response, they never said anything because they knew they were in the wrong. So when I saw Hideki Kamiya come out and say, like, no, this is BS, man. We offered more, but I don't break NDAs and start spilling people's salaries online, so I'm not going to talk about it. Well, she decided to, and she dug her own grave. Her career is dead. Until next time, I've been Unarrested. I hope you have a great rest of the day.